Hello legends, and welcome to this video where I'm going to run you through the State of Motion meal plan. So before we roll into it, I want to clarify who we help at State of Motion and, if you're the right person to be watching this video and to be taking my advice. So we help Aussie dads slash men, okay? If you're not Aussie, this can apply to you as well. If you're not a dad, it can apply to you too. Anywhere between the ages of 30 to 60, but typically at State of Motion, we help Aussie men in that age bracket who are dads or just men. So there's three things that the people we work with are trying to get out of, the things that they're the problems that they're facing at the moment. So they're either overweight, they're either living in pain, or they've got low energy. Now with overweight, it's like things that, or symptoms you could say for this category is like you look in the mirror and you're unhappy with what you see. You're not like super obese or anything like that, but you're just looking at yourself going, oh, I know I can do better. I know I can do better than this. You have a sedentary lifestyle or leaning towards that. So maybe you used to be active with sport and certain different like things or activities that you used to do. And since having kids or since getting older, you started to go more towards that sedentary kind of life and you're not really vibing it. Second is living in pain. So the fear, what I hear all the time on calls is like, I'm feeling old. So maybe that like translates over to stiff aches and pains, like waking up in the morning and taking a while to get going, all that sort of stuff. If you feel like you're feeling old, then we help you. And, this video relates to you. Also, people that are like dealing with injuries or feel like they're leading towards injuries. The last one, low energy. So this kind of looks like low motivation. Get home from work, can't be bothered doing anything. Sit on the couch, turn on the TV. Mood swings, you feel good one day, then bad the next. And your energy ebbs and flows and you never really feel consistent. Also, I hear a lot, I feel flat. So meaning that, you just don't have the mojo, you don't have the juice to get through, activities that you might have found easy in the past. And this is who we help. So if all those things related to you, or one of those things, or many of them did relate to you, and this is what you're trying to become, then you are the person that we help. So the future you looks like a fit and healthy man or dad. So like maybe it's being active with your kids and your family, doing, things with them, enjoying stuff on the weekends and not really feeling tired. You want to age gracefully. You can see yourself maybe you're in your 30s or your 40s now, and you can see yourself in your 60s being super healthy and fit, and, age is just a number. Also, you want to be around for your grandkids. This is a really big thing that I hear all the time. It's like, yeah, I've got my kids and I want to be healthy for them, but I also want to be around long enough so I can see their kids. That's really powerful stuff. You want to be strong. You want to be lean and able. So lean and able, right? It's not about being big and bulky like a bodybuilder or whatever. It's just being like fit looking and being able to do stuff that you want to do, right? Being pain-free and confident. It's like, no matter how lean and able you are, right? If you're in pain, it's going to be holding your confidence back. Whether you're like wanting to do activities and you're like, shit, my knee's sore. I can't go for a run, or I can't friggin' go for a hike because my knee's killing me. Like that sort of stuff. We want to make sure you're pain-free all the time, and you look in the mirror and you feel happy with the version of yourself that you see. You want to be energized. So that means you've got the energy to play with the kids, kick the footy, play soccer, whatever. Like do the activities with them that you want to do and live your life how you want to live. You want to be productive. So you can see yourself, waking up early, getting shit done, going to work, getting shit done, getting home, playing with the kids, all that sort of jazz. And, finally, you can see yourself being happy in the future. If this sounds like where you want to get to, then you're in the right place. So we're talking about the meal plan, right? So we're getting on track. So how do we help you at State of Motion, and how does it work, right, with the food? Well, first we've got to establish a starting point. So I call this the snapshot. So what this actually looks like is, all right, you've just come on board as a member at State of Motion, and I need to see the food that you're eating. So I'll be like, cool, for the next 3 days, I want to see a photo of literally everything. Water intake, food intake, supplement intake, whatever you're doing, all right? And I want to understand the timings of it. So I had breakfast at 9, I had lunch at 12, like all the ins and outs of it. Here are some examples of a client of mine sending in like food photos and what was kind of in them. Okay, so that's the first point, because once we establish your starting, or your point A, I like to call it, then we can determine what is the first step that you need to take, and that's different for everyone, which we're going to get into now. Step 2 is point A. So what is point A? So on the left here, you can see this is like the first page of the State of Motion meal plan. Now, the meal plan is what you could call 100% perfect, like where we want you to get to. But we don't want you to adopt all of the things on day one, because it's going to be very overwhelming. So point A is about figuring out, based on the data that you've given us with the food photos, what is the logical, easiest, like first step, the first win to get on the board that you need to take to start going in the right direction. So some examples of this is like 3 meals a day, no snacks, protein with every meal, no carbs till dinner. These are just some small little like principles that we try and apply with our clients, because they're really easy to execute from day one, and you just have to pick one of them. You don't have to pick all of them, right? And we actually pick them for you. But also they're really effective, which is great. So that's step 2, figuring out point A. Then once we go to step 3, it's finding your rhythm. Now, this is the large majority of the process. It's like, okay, we figured out what point A is. Now we need to figure out what point B is, and C and D and E, etc., on and on and on, until we get to a point where we find your perfect. Now, I'll get to that in a second. This is an example, like let's say you're at the start of the line, and that's point A. Or point A, for example, is 3 meals a day, no snack. Once you start to dominate that, and you've got that sorted, then we move to the next thing. We want to have protein with every meal. Now, this is just an example. This isn't where everyone goes through, but this is give you an idea of the time and how it kind of transitions. Once you nail that, it's no carbs until dinner. Once you nail that, it's working on the meal timing. Once you nail that, the choices of food that you have in those meals. Once you've nailed that, it's the morning routine. So the start of your day, how can we make that efficient, effective, so you start the day awesome every day? Then it's, sleep routines. Can you see what's kind of happening as we're stacking the pieces on top of each other? They're getting slightly more complex, and they're having, they're more detailed kind of like protocols that you can add into your day and your routine. So you start really small, and then you gradually stack the bigger pieces on top, because the small ones are the ones that, funnily enough, have the biggest impact, and the bigger ones that you add on top, they have big impact as well, but you've already established such good momentum, and you've got like a really good routine going, so it's like easier to add those ones in. 8 to 9 hours of sleep, supplements, like it kind of stacks as you go down the path. Now, let's say you've actually come on board, right? And all those things is very overwhelming for you to maintain long term. A really important thing that we tell everyone that works with us is 80% perfect for 1 year is better than 100% perfect for 1 month. Now, what that means is, if you can stick to half of the things on the screen for a year, and that works well for your life, your family, your routine, that's awesome. You're going to get a really good result if you can do that, right? If you tried to stick to all of the things and it was too overwhelming for you, and you can only do it for 1 month, and then you fell off the wagon and you went back into your old spiral and your old patterns and the things that you usually do, that is not good. So sticking to something in the long term is going to have a way better effect on your health, your fitness, all the things that you want to achieve, than sticking to something for a month. Okay, so I really want to make that point. Just because we lay out the food plan and it's called 100% perfect, like the whole thing, we never really get everyone to 100% perfect. We just take bits and pieces of the plan and align them to them that's best suited for what they're trying to achieve, and then figure out what is the rhythm that they can stick to long term. And so that leads to my next point, which is step 4, autopilot. So autopilot is all about finding a balance that you can stick to forever. Now, I've purposely put this photo with alcohol in it because it's not about never drinking beers again or never drinking wine again. Like, if you want your lifestyle to, be social and to have those things in there, that's great. But If it's, having alcohol all the time and it's going to be detrimental to the goals that you're trying to achieve, then that's not great either, right? But what we're trying to figure out is what is the rhythm and what is the balance for you, and what are the things that you want to have in your diet and your routine that still means that you're going to have a happy life and you're going to live life the way that you want to live. And then what are the positive things and the habits that you need to change and to introduce so that you can get the result that you want. And then finding the perfect spot where it can go to autopilot. When you get to autopilot, shit changes. It's epic. You don't have to think. You're not stressed about foods. You're still getting results. Everything just kind of feels right. You're not having to eat different meals to your family because you're on a diet and all that sort of bullshit, right? It's this routine that's so suited to your life that you can stick to forever and you don't have to think about it ever again. With every single person that comes through State of Motion, I can confidently say that we get them very close to that point in 4 months. And if they stay with us for longer than 4 months, we definitely get them there 100% every time. But if, something happens and they don't stay on, most of the time we do get them to that point. Usually it's within 8 weeks, but within 4 months, it's maybe the odd person doesn't get to autopilot mode, but the majority do. And when they do get there, it's they don't have to worry about food ever again. And that's a really nice place to be, because once you get to that point, you can focus more on other things. You can focus more on your career, your training, your relationships with your family or with your friends, whatever. You don't have to worry about food and how it's negatively affecting your health, okay? I've gone on a lot there, but the final note, right, if you want to check out the meal plan, you want to try it for yourself, I'm going to leave it linked under this video. If you can't find it or it doesn't work on this video because I'm not very good at technology or whatever, send me a message on Instagram, and also give me a follow there because that's where I spend most of my time, where I put out most of the information. So jump on there. Just to say it again, if you want to send me a message there to get the meal plan, just send me a message and I'll send it across. Hopefully this has been helpful, and I really appreciate you watching. Like, follow, subscribe, do whatever those you want to do. I'm just going to be putting out more content like this that explains what we actually do at State of Motion. So if you found it beneficial or if you have questions, feel free to ask, and I'll see you in the next video.